Greetings! I wanted to say hello. This is my first video. It could be a little ugly, but we'll see how we go here. I wanted to talk about a little bit of why we make art. And so one thing I wanted to do was to bring you around in my studio here and show you some of the art that I have and some of the things that I've done. And so some reasons why we make art is historical. Sometimes it's literal literature and things like that help us come up with ideas to create art. Sometimes it's a way of practicing our faith, and such as religious art. I wanted to sometimes it's a way of expressing our emotions, our feelings, just how we view life. Sometimes we make art just for the thrill of making art, our passion, our excitement of laying paint on canvas and just playing around and just the joy of creating things. Picasso said that the purpose of art was washing the dust of daily life off our souls. And so I really kind of enjoy that quote. So let's talk a little bit about what I do. Some of the art here I have is mostly figurative. That's what I enjoy best. I'm starting to learn how to do landscape paintings and add figures into the landscape and make that interesting. I have different series that I have going on. One series I have is my student series. These paintings are, paintings of students, and it's just my way of remembering my students and remembering that time that we had together in the studio, and just my appreciation for what they do and who they are and how special they are. And let's see, I can bring out and another series is a ballerina series I do. Most of these I will usually never show to most people because a lot of the pictures were taken off the internet, and so I would never sell these pictures or because that would be somewhat of a copyright infringement, and so today I'll just let you have a look at a few of these. Other pictures I do are Native American pictures. Here's and that has to do with a little bit of my heritage. I have a very small amount of Native American blood. My great-great-grandmother was a Menominee Indian. The story goes that she was a Menominee princess, and she married Thad Taylor, and Thad Taylor is actually the first cousin to Zachary Taylor, the president. So that's how the story goes. I don't know how much of that is actually true, but so I love the color, I love the motion, and I love the traditional outfits that they have, and so I love doing paintings of Native American. Let's see, I'll pull out, and here's a painting of a buffalo. This is kind of influenced by some of my students, and one student is Aiden Gerke, and he's kind of a naturalist, and he's going to college for that right now, and he's going to be great at it. Really smart guy. And so I went out west and I took lots of pictures of buffalo and other things, and I shared those with him so he could paint them. And after he got going painting them, I thought, wow, that's kind of fun, just the animals and the excitement of nature and just natural beauty of the nature and things like that. And so I started painting some buffalo. Here is a painting of Phoebe. She's a former student. This is in the art room. And I have lots of former students here. There's Carly in the back corner, Lucinda, over on the side here, this is Olivia O, and Zoe, and Caleb Cooley, back in the back corner. And then way back over here is, let's see, I'll turn you a little bit. Back over here is Leanne Tookshire. She's kind of hiding off in the back here. And I keep all these paintings around, just sometimes to remind me of how I went about doing the paintings, and sometimes it's just, you know, helps me think about where I've been and where I want to go to as an artist. And so, you know, here's a painting that I'm working on right now. You know, there's parts of this that aren't working exactly how I'd like them to, but I'm still working on this one. And let's see, I'll turn the camera a little here so you can see a few more paintings of different students. You know, they kind of get stacked up. Here's a painting of landscape that I was trying to work on. I was trying to get the feeling of fog and water. I love doing reflections. Reflections really just get me kind of a little excited and really interesting. You know, just how reflections work, and the reflection always ends up being more of a abstract than anything else, and that's kind of fun. You know, here's Springhetti, former student. This is Bailey, behind Bailey. Oh, there's Moline. She's stuck behind Bailey. Sometimes I'll restack these, and because I've got so many photos or different paintings of different students, you know, I bring some out, I throw some in, and we just kind of see where we end up. And so over here, it just kind of goes on around my room, and so I have all these paintings that, you know, and how I do the paintings, sometimes they're very different. Sometimes I have a different mood for different students, and it's not necessarily because of the students. You know, it's more my mood of how I'm trying to create a different feel sometimes. And let me talk a little bit about where I've come from. And so here's a painting. This is done by Jerry Perigue. He's an uncle of mine, and he was a person who kind of inspired me to be an artist, and made it so that art is okay. You know, art was something that you could actually do. And before that, you know, I come from a background where my family, my dad was a construction worker, and you know, and he you know, he worked with his hands and things like that, and art for him was a waste of time, kind of. He was more interested in, you know, making a living. You know, he said all that art stuff is just kind of a, you know, I should find a real job, more or less. But my mom, on the other hand, also she loved doing art. She loves being creative, and so she's tried to do some paintings, and she does a lot of knitting and things like that. And that's a beautiful art form too, and I just really enjoy that. And so I remember going to my grandmother's, and I'll show you a painting here in a second. I'll put it up on the screen, that was hanging in my grandmother's living room, done by Jerry Perigue. And he, you know, I looked at that painting, and I was just awestruck by it. You know, I just thought, wow, how could anybody actually do that? You know, create the feel. And it was actually a portrait of my grandfather. You know, is what the purpose, I think, the painting was. I really never got to talk to him about it. You know, he, you know, he wasn't really a part of the inner circle of family members, uncles and stuff that kind of hung out together. And so, you know, I had always wanted to do that, but he had passed away before that happened was to ask him about his art and how he got started and things like that, and what really motivated him to be an artist. So here's a painting of Aidan Gerke, and there's Marianne again. And then as you walk around my house, you can see, here's a painting of another Native American painting, and then I've kind of got lots of stacks of paintings that kind of hang around here. Oops, let me tilt this down. So here's a few stacks, of paintings that I have. They're just kind of stuck in here. Here's landscape. Here's kind of some stacks of painting. Here's a farmer student. It's a Heinen. And here's a landscape that I was trying to work on one day, and it's something that's in the to-do pile again, to go back into it and try to rework this someday. And I have, and a lot of these, I will take a picture or take a painting and set it out the side, just put it away for a few weeks, sometimes a few months, and then I pull it back out and I start working on it again. Here's a painting that wasn't as successful as I'd like it to be, but the color wasn't as good, so someday I'll come back in and work on this. And here's more former students. And some of you guys who are former students will see these and recognize these. You may think that's kind of funny that I would paint you guys, but some of you guys should know me by now. Here's Carly Zelinsky. I did a number of hers because some students are harder to do than others. I don't know why. They just have a tendency to drive me crazy that way. And so Carly, I've done like 3-4 times, just trying to get her to look right and to look like her. There's more here. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. Pull these out. There's Emma. And there's another former student. Here's an attempt at a landscape, and this one worked out pretty well, but I'm planning on going back into this and working on the sheep here, so that landscape doesn't look too bad. It's almost 90% there, and so I think I'll go back in and kind of finish this someday. And usually those are the days that I get bored and go, oh, okay, what do I have that I want to work on? Here's a landscape of, this is down in Florida. It's one of the springs. And I'm pretty happy with that one. It could use a little adjustment. The colors are a little bit too strong, and so I need to adjust those. And sometimes I have, here's a big one. I don't know if I can show you this. Let's see. Yeah, this works. Okay. So here's a buffalo in Yellowstone. And so this is a combination of a bunch of different photos that I stuck together. And I think I want to work the clouds over again because there's too much of a separation between the buffalo and the clouds, and I'm hoping to get that done a little bit better than what I have it. And so when you're doing a painting, paintings are never finished. Sometimes you just give up on them and set them aside, but sometimes you get back into them again and rework them, and because you learn new things all the time. You're learning how to. Here's a running picture. And so this is a portrait. This is actually a portrait of my daughter. She's right here. She's that person. And I coached cross country and track for a number of years. And so a lot of what you paint is, you know, what you do in regular life outside of painting. And so, you know, the students are an important part of my life. You know, going out in nature, going, interacting with people, you know, just seeing the beauty in life in a person. And so, you know, a lot of times, you know, I'm hoping someday that I make the perfect painting. You know, painters are always looking for that perfection that they see in their eyes, that thing that causes them to really get excited and push through problems and things like that. And so, you know, a lot of what we do is just what's around us. You know, sometimes it's our kids. I have paintings of my kids, and I have paintings of different people that I've met and known and really appreciate. And so I will very often, you know, use that as the source for why I paint. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I have, here's another Native American painting. And so what I do is I go out to powwows and I go and take my own pictures. I try never to use pictures off the internet unless I really have to and I can't find what I want on my own. And so I would always recommend going out and learning to take your own pictures. So that was one. And let's see. Here's another, oops, fairly large one. And so I like this painting because it has so much going on in it. There's lots of symbolism. There's a lot happening here going, and it kind of pulls you back. And besides the beautiful color and things that are happening in this painting. Avalanche here. Here's another Native American painting. I love the action. The movement of the figure is just very exciting. Besides trying to get really interesting color and things to happen in it. Let's see. So I'm hoping you look at a little bit of who you are and what you enjoy, and that should be what you should be painting. You know, you should always try to do something that is exciting to you. What gets you excited? And so I'm hoping this gives you a little bit of insight to where you can go as an artist and things like that. So I want to say thanks for watching the video, and I'll try to work up some good demos in the future, and I want to try to get you know, basic skills, everything that I teach in my class I want to get down on video, and that's for my students, my former students, my friends, and especially for my granddaughter Emma, you know, who's becoming her own little artist. And so a lot of these videos are for her, and for her somewhat to remember who I am. So thanks again. Have a good time painting, and God bless.